We've all seen the scary headlines warning that Social Security is running on empty and will go completely bankrupt in just a few short years. But before you let the media panic drive you into making an emotional, irreversible financial decision that could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars, let's separate the sensational myth from the actual math. Are you ready?
3, 2, 1, 0, 0. Liftoff. Americans return to space as Discovery clears the tower.
Welcome back to Retirement Isn't Rocket Science. This is episode 20. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Mullis. I spent my first career as an astrophysicist using NASA's space telescopes to map the outer edges of the universe. Today, as a certified financial planner and retirement firm owner with 21 years of experience, I help you navigate a different kind of frontier, your retirement. Our mission here is clear: lower your taxes, strengthen your portfolio, and give you the confidence and the capacity to spend more. Buckle up. We're going to master your money and explore the mysteries of the universe along the way. In today's show, will Social Security really go broke in 2032? And is your retirement ready for the potential haircut that this brings? We answer a listener question to decode Medicare penalties and the hidden traps of Medicare Advantage plans. And peering into the crystal ball nebula, what a 1,500-year-old cosmic transition teaches us about planning our own next chapter.
Space Shuttle Discovery still on its way to orbit after a successful ascent up through main engine cutoff.
Welcome to the Retirement Briefing Room. This is where we huddle up to take a close look at important aspects of your financial life, spotlight pathways of success, and think about how to integrate these into your retirement mission plan. Now, if you've glanced at the news recently, you probably saw a wave of panic-inducing headlines. On June 9th, the Social Security trustees released their updated outlook, and the consensus is that the retirement trust fund will be depleted by the fourth quarter of 2032. That is a year earlier than previously estimated, and it has understandably sent a shockwave through people who are staring down retirement or are already in early retirement. But as a former rocket scientist, I learned early on that when an alarm goes off, you don't panic. You look at the telemetry. You look at the actual data. Let's talk about what depleted actually means. There is a massive, widely held myth that when the trust fund hits zero, the system goes completely bankrupt and checks stop coming. That is mathematically impossible under the current structure. Social Security is a pay-as-you-go system. Every single payday, millions of American workers have payroll taxes deducted from their checks. 6.2% from employees, matched by 6.2% from employers. So even if Congress plays political chicken and does absolutely nothing by 2032, the reserve tanks might be empty, but the main engines are still being fueled by real-time tax revenue. The trustees estimate that even after depletion, the system will still generate enough ongoing revenue to pay out roughly 78% of promised benefits. Think of that not as a total systems failure, but as a mandatory 20 to 22% haircut. Now, how do leading financial planners handle this potential reality with their clients? They don't ignore it, and they certainly don't panic. Instead, they measure and they prepare for the potential impact. Remember, planning is a process, always adapting as your life changes and as laws change. In that adaptive mindset, let's consider a few important aspects. Number one, the behavioral trap. This is the panic claim at age 62. When people read these scary headlines, their immediate knee-jerk reaction is often, let me file for Social Security as early as possible, age 62, so I can grab my cash before it's all gone. This is where a good advisor will step in with an insightful piece of mathematical reframing. We call this the cut on a cut versus a cut on a larger payout. Let's look at the math. First, consider the scenario of filing early at age 62. If you file early, you are already accepting a permanent lifetime reduction in your baseline benefit, taking home roughly 70% of your full retirement age amount. If Congress fails to act and a systematic 20% government cut happens down the road, you're now taking a 20% cut on top of an already deeply slashed benefit. This is a cut on a cut. Now, conversely, consider the other scenario of delaying to age 70. If you delay your filing to age 70, you guarantee yourself an 8% increase per year, locking in roughly 132% of your baseline benefit. If that same systemic 20% government cut happens in the 2030s, you are taking a haircut on a significantly larger pool of guaranteed money. Mathematically and visually, taking a 20% cut on a maximized age 70 benefit is vastly superior to taking a cut on a permanently reduced age 62 benefit. Let's pivot to consider how expert planners stress test a real-world retirement plan. If you've accumulated a healthy and robust nest egg, you need a comprehensive wealth framework. At my retirement planning firm, we manage this uncertainty around the future of Social Security by proactively insulating our clients' plans through 3 core strategies. Number 1, the 80% plan buffer. We don't just cross our fingers and hope politicians fix the system. We build safety buffers right into the financial plan. When running simulations and projections, we manually suppress future Social Security cash flows by 20 to 25% starting in 2032. If your retirement trajectory and portfolio stability still boast a robust income under that simulated haircut, the anxiety entirely evaporates. You gain instant peace of mind knowing that your lifestyle is secure regardless of Washington's gridlock. The second strategy is the income reserve. To execute a strategy where you safely delay Social Security to maximize your benefit, and again, avoid the cut on a cut, you need a bridge. We advocate for structuring your investment portfolio in distinct layers or buckets: contingency, liquidity, and growth. By keeping a robust liquidity bucket filled with short-term cash and bonds, you create an intentional buffer. If a systemic benefit cut or a market downturn occurs, you are never forced to dangerously over-withdraw from volatile equities during a market dip. The third strategy is exploiting the gap years for tax optimization. We look at this through the lens of proactive tax and investment planning. The years between when you stop working your 9 to 5 and the time you turn 70, that is before required minimum distributions or Social Security kicks in, these are your golden gap years. By using your private portfolio assets to live on during these years, you aren't just maximizing your future Social Security check. You are intentionally keeping your taxable income incredibly low. This opens up a massive strategic window to execute Roth conversions, moving money from traditional IRAs to Roth IRAs at historically low tax brackets, permanently shielding your wealth from future tax hikes. Before we wrap up today's briefing, let's consolidate our flight data and review the core takeaways. Number 1, depleted does not mean zero. Social Security is funded by continuous payroll taxes. if Congress fails to act by late 2032, the system can still pay out roughly 78% of scheduled benefits. Number 2, avoid the panic claim. Rushing to file at age 62 out of fear permanently reduces your baseline benefit. Delaying to age 70 ensures you receive a cut on a much larger pool of guaranteed inflation-adjusted money. And number 3, proactive insulation. Leading advisors protect wealthy retirees by stress testing portfolios with an 80% baseline scenario, separating budgets into essential versus discretionary spending, and maximizing gap years for strategic tax planning. Remember, retirement planning isn't about predicting what Congress will do at the 11th hour. It's about controlling the variables within your own cockpit. You can't control the laws lawmakers pass, but you can control your tax strategy, your asset location, your withdrawal sequence, and your claiming timeline. Build a plan that is resilient enough to handle the turbulence, and you'll enjoy a smooth ride throughout your entire next adventure. Now, let's head over to Mission Control to answer your financial questions and get you retirement ready.
Discovery Houston, 20 seconds to LOS TDRS.
Roger, nice to be in orbit.
Welcome to Ask Mission Control. This week's question comes from Stephen, who writes, in an early episode, you talk about turning 65 and choosing between a health care advantage plan and Medicare with Type D coverage, and there being a penalty based on how you choose. Can you elaborate more? Well, Stephen, thanks so much for reaching out and asking this fantastic question. First off, let's clear up some of the terminology, because honestly, the government doesn't make this easy. You are definitely not alone in mixing up these letters and names. When you mentioned Health Care Advantage Plan, I believe you're referring to a Medicare Advantage Plan, which is officially known as Medicare Part C. And when you talk about Medicare with Type D coverage, you're looking at traditional Medicare combined with a standalone Part D prescription drug plan. Now, when you hit that milestone of age 65, you are standing at a major financial and healthcare fork in the road. The choices you make during this initial enrollment window don't just dictate what doctor you can see next year. They lock in rules and potential penalties that can follow you for the rest of your life. To help make sense of this choice, let's use a plain English analogy. Think of traditional Medicare like building a custom standalone home. You get your foundation through Part A, which covers hospital stays, and your main living structure through Part B, which covers your doctor's visits and outpatient care. Then, to finish the house, you buy a separate roof, your Part D prescription plan, and an umbrella insurance policy, which we call a Medigap or supplemental policy. It takes a little more work to coordinate, and you pay separate bills. But that house is entirely yours. You can invite any doctor, specialist, or hospital in the United States who accepts Medicare into your home without needing a hall pass, a prior authorization, or a referral. Medicare Advantage, on the other hand, is like moving into a managed condominium complex. A private insurance company packages everything, your hospital care, doctor's visits, and drug coverage, into one neat monthly maintenance fee. It looks incredibly attractive on paper because the monthly premium is often very low, sometimes even $0. But here's the catch. You have to live by the condo association's rules. You must use their specific network of handymen and contractors, meaning their restricted network of doctors. And if you want to see a specialist or get a major procedure done, you have to get permission from the front desk first. Now, let's talk about the specific penalties that you asked about, Stephen, because this is where the financial path of your retirement can hit some unexpected turbulence. There are actually two distinctive types of penalties you need to watch out for. First, there are the official government late enrollment penalties, and second is what I call the hidden insurance trap. Let's start with the official penalties. The federal government wants everyone into the Medicare system as early as possible to keep costs stable. If you don't sign up when you're first eligible at age 65 and you don't have what the government calls credible coverage, which usually means health insurance from a current employer where you or your spouse actively works. If that doesn't exist, that credible coverage, the clock starts ticking and penalties begin to accumulate. The first big one is Medicare Part B. If you delay signing up for Medicare Part B without qualifying job-based insurance, your monthly premium will permanently increase by 10% for every full 12-month period that you could have had Part B but didn't. This isn't a one-time fee, Stephen. This is a permanent premium hike that stays tacked onto your bill for as long as you have Medicare. The second official penalty applies directly to what you called Type D coverage, the Medicare Part D prescription drug penalty. If you go for a continuous period of 63 days or more after your initial enrollment period without a Part D plan or other credible prescription coverage, Medicare will slap you with a lifetime late enrollment penalty. They calculate this by taking 1% of the national base beneficiary premium for every single month you went without coverage, and they round it to the nearest 10 cents. Again, this penalty is added to your monthly Part D premium for the rest of your life. Even if you don't take any prescription drugs right now and feel perfectly healthy, skipping Part D to save a few bucks today means paying a permanent tax on your health care for the next 20 or 30 years. But for our audience, diligent savers who have spent a lifetime building what is often a multi-million-dollar nest egg, there is a third unofficial penalty that is far, far more dangerous. I call it the Medigap underwriting trap. When you turn 65 and choose traditional Medicare, you have a golden 6-month window called the Medigap open enrollment period. During this brief window, you have guaranteed issue rights. This means any private insurance company selling a Medigap supplemental policy must sell you a plan, and they cannot charge you more or deny you coverage based on your health history, pre-existing conditions, or medical track record. It is a completely clean slate. However, if you choose a Medicare Advantage plan at age 65 because you are healthy and active, you waive that initial Medigap window. Fast forward 10 years down the road. Let's say you're 75 and you face a serious health challenge, perhaps a cancer diagnosis or a severe heart issue. Suddenly, you realize that the specific specialist or top-tier hospital you desperately need to see is outside of your Medicare Advantage plan's restrictive network. Or the plan keeps denying you the pre-authorizations for the treatments your doctor recommends. You decide you want to leave Medicare Advantage and switch back to traditional Medicare so you can see any doctor in the country. You can easily drop Medicare Advantage and go back to traditional Medicare Parts A and B during the annual enrollment periods. But here's the trap. In the vast majority of states, your guaranteed right to buy a Medigap policy is long gone. To buy that supplemental policy to cover your out-of-pocket gaps, you now have to go through medical underwriting. The insurance companies can look at your medical records, see your diagnosis, and say, no, thank you. We aren't going to cover you. Or they might charge you a monthly premium that's completely astronomical. Why is that a problem? Under traditional Medicare, Part B only covers 80% of your outpatient medical expenses. There is no out-of-pocket maximum. If you have a major surgery or ongoing treatments like chemotherapy that cost $100,000, your 20% share is $20,000 out of your own pocket. If it costs $500,000, you owe $100,000. For someone who's worked hard to build their nest egg, an uncapped 20% risk is an absolute deal breaker for a secure retirement. Without that Medigap policy to step in and pay that 20% for you, you are exposed to unlimited financial risk. This is the ultimate hidden penalty of choosing Medicare Advantage early on without understanding the long-term stakes. Before we conclude today's segment, let's quickly summarize the critical flight coordinates we covered to answer Stephen's question. First, recognize the structural difference. Traditional Medicare offers unmatched freedom of choice, but requires coordinating separate parts, while Medicare Advantage bundles everything together into a restricted network. Second, be aware of the lifetime late enrollment penalties. Missing your enrollment window for Part B or Part D without credible employer coverage results in a permanent premium hike that stays with you for the rest of your life. Third, watch out for the Medigap underwriting trap. Choosing Medicare Advantage at age 65 means you lose your guaranteed right to switch to a Medigap policy later in life if your health declines. And finally, coordinate your health care with your taxes. Be mindful of how your investment distributions and Roth conversions impact your income, as crossing IRMA thresholds will significantly raise your Medicare premiums. If you've got a retirement question you'd like us to answer on the show, head over to retirementisn'trocketscience.com and click Ask a Question. Or even better, you can skip to the front of the line by calling Mission Control at 704-234-6550 and record your own audio question. Now, let's peer into a cosmic crystal ball to discover how a star's final beautiful chapter can inspire your own next great adventure.
And Houston Discovery.
In Discovery Houston, we've got a good picture of Steve.
Welcome to the Retirement Big Picture part of our show. This is where we look up and look out to expand our appreciation and understanding of our amazing universe. A long time ago in a galaxy not far, far away, I spent almost 2 decades studying the cosmos as an observational astrophysicist. This love affair of astronomy began in the 7th grade and continues to this day. Today, my friends, we are taking a trip to the summit of Mauna Kea in Hawaii. Right there, perched high above the clouds, sits the massive 8.1 meter Gemini North telescope. Just a few weeks ago, this incredible piece of machinery captured a breathtaking new image of a cosmic phenomena known as NGC 1514, affectionately nicknamed the Crystal Ball Nebula. Now, when you hear crystal ball, your mind probably goes to a fortune teller foretelling your future. But in astronomy, looking at the Crystal Ball Nebula is actually a journey into the deep, deep past. This nebula sits about 1,500 light years away from us. To put that in perspective for our big picture view, the light that the Gemini North telescope just captured actually left that star system 1,500 years ago. That means this light began its journey across the universe right around the time the Western Roman Empire was collapsing. Talk about a long-term trajectory. So, what exactly is this cosmic crystal ball? It is what we call a planetary nebula. And this is where our first historical pioneer comes into play. German-British astronomer William Herschel. Back in 1790, Herschel discovered this very object. He gave it the name planetary nebula because through his 18th century telescope, its round, green-blue, glowing shape looked a lot like the gas giant planets Uranus and Neptune. But here's a fun bit of cosmic trivia for your next dinner party. Planetary nebulae have absolutely nothing to do with planets. What Herschel was actually witnessing and what we're seeing in high definition today is the spectacular final chapter of a star's life. When a star reaches the end of its fuel reserves, it doesn't always go out with a violent supernova bang. If it's a low to intermediate mass star, much like our own sun, it goes through a beautiful transition. It gently ejects the outer layers of gas into space, creating an expanding, glowing cloud. What makes the Crystal Ball Nebula completely unique to astronomers is its structure. Most planetary nebulae are relatively smooth, uniform spheres, but NGC 1514 is famous for its distinct, bumpy, asymmetrical shells of gas. When William Herschel first looked at it, it completely shattered his existing theories. Before 1790, Herschel believed that all fuzzy nebulae in the night sky were just massive, distant clusters of stars that were simply too far away for his telescope to resolve the stars individually. But right in the dead center of the Crystal Ball Nebula, he saw a single brilliant point of light surrounded by a glowing shroud. In 1791, he wrote, "Our judgment, I may venture to say, will be that the nebulosity about the star is not of a starry nature." It was a true aha moment that changed the course of astronomy forever. Now, fast forward to modern times. We have the advantage of space missions and cutting-edge astrophysics. While Herschel thought there was just one star at the center, we now know it's actually a binary star system. Two stars locked in a gravitational dance orbiting each other every 9 years. This is the longest orbital period ever recorded for a binary pair inside a planetary nebula. One of these stars was once massive, and as it reached its final chapter, it shed its outer layers. As the two stars orbit one another, their powerful shifting winds mold the expanding gas, creating the complex, bumpy layers we see in the Gemini North image today. The radiation from the exposed, scorching hot stellar core, clocking in at a blazing 15,000 degrees Kelvin, energizes the gas, causing it to glow with magnificent, cinematic colors. Now, you might be wondering, Dr. Chris, this sounds incredible, but can I see the cosmic crystal ball myself? The answer is yes. The Crystal Ball Nebula is located in the constellation Taurus, right near the border of Perseus. Because Taurus is a prominent constellation in the northern hemisphere, it is highly visible here from the United States, particularly during the late autumn and winter months. For my amateur astronomy friends out there listening, if you have a decent backyard telescope and a dark, clear sky away from the city lights, you can spot NGC 1514. Now, to the naked eye through a smaller telescope, you won't see the vibrant, fiery colors of the 8.1 meter Gemini North telescope. It will look like a faint, ghostly, glowing mist surrounding a sharp point of light. But just knowing what you're looking at, a stellar transition 1,500 years in the making, is enough to give you chills. You know, as a retirement planner, I can't help but appreciate the lesson of the Crystal Ball Nebula that it offers us. Herschel looked at it and had to completely change his worldview. It reminds us that transitions, whether they're happening to a star 1,500 light years away or happening in your own life as you transition from your 9-to-5 job, require us to look at the big picture. When a star sheds its outer layers, it isn't the end. It's the beginning of a stunning new cosmic footprint. In the same way, stepping into retirement is about shedding the old layers of the daily grind to reveal the vibrant, purposeful core of what you want your life to be. It takes a bit of a balancing dance, just like those binary stars working together to manage your portfolio, your tax planning, and your health. But with the right view, the results are absolutely beautiful. You don't need a crystal ball to see a bright future. You just need a great plan and the willingness to enjoy the ride. You'll find the Gemini North image of NGC 1514, aka the Crystal Ball Nebula, in this week's newsletter. Again, you can sign up for that newsletter at retirementisn'trocketscience.com.
Welcome home, Columbia. Beautiful, beautiful.
So I have to take it up for hangar, Joe?
We're going to dust it off first.
We spent today focused on a momentous question of will Social Security go broke in 2032 and how to prepare for whatever comes in your retirement plan. Now it's time to open the hatch. This is your spacewalk. You are stepping out of the routine and into the bright light to overlay today's insights on your plans to worry less and retire more. This isn't just a stroll. This is where the work gets done. To move from theory to better outcomes, here are your mission objectives. Number 1, request an 80% Social Security stress test. Sit down with your financial planner and explicitly ask them to model your retirement projection with a permanent 20% reduction in your Social Security benefits starting in 2032 to see how it impacts your portfolio's longevity. Number 2, map out your needs versus wants budget. Break your retirement lifestyle spending into non-discretionary baseline survival costs like healthcare, housing, and food versus discretionary spending for travel, hobbies, etc. So you know exactly how much guaranteed income you actually need to protect. And number 3, analyze your gap year tax window. If you're between ages 55 and 70, review your tax plan with a certified financial planner to determine if utilizing portfolio assets to delay Social Security can unlock opportunities for highly advantageous Roth conversions. I challenge you to take just one idea from today's show and to put it into practice this week to make your retirement even better. Thank you for joining me. Remember, you've done the hard work of saving. Now let's do the smart work of planning. Until next time, keep your eyes on the horizon. Enjoy the adventure. You are go for retirement.
Mission complete, Houston. After serving the world for over 30 years, the space shuttle's earned its place in history and it's come to a final stop.
We copy your will stop, and we'll take this opportunity to congratulate you, Atlantis, as well as the thousands of passionate individuals across this great spacefaring nation.
We thank the National Aeronautics and Space Administration for providing the radio communications between the Space Shuttle astronauts and the flight controllers. This show is for informational and entertainment purposes only. It is not specific tax, legal, or investment advice. Before considering acting on anything you hear in this show, first consult with your own tax, legal, or financial advisor.